Welcome Capricorn to your monthly forecast for September for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. You can also join me on Twitter at Horoscope Ace, or Elisa and I for the daily astrology and tarot video show, which is proving great fun. Please see the link beneath this video. You can grab your free daily zodiac forecast each day. And also I share the dominant astrology influence, and Elisa gives a more spiritual perspective. Please join us. Now, as this month begins, you have the Sun and also Mercury in the part of your horoscope to do with exploration. But of course, we are living in a time when it's not quite so easy to jet off to our favourite spots. But what you can do with the combination of the Sun and Mercury at the start of this month is certainly envision a way of being that creates more spontaneity. And if you are someone who's tended to be a real good citizen, who's always done right by everyone else, what the Sun and Mercury are asking you to do is to embrace a little bit more of your own independence and freedom-loving instincts. Now, this all comes sharply into focus on the 2nd when we have a full moon. This occurs in the drifting, dreamy sign of Pisces, but it is interacting with Uranus, the planet of change, which links brilliantly with the Sun in the first week of this month. And I think that you could find yourself really wanting to try out something very different, being much more experimental as this new month begins. But someone closer to you may actually be quite comfortable with the status quo. So if you make some suggestions to do something a little bit more in the moment, they could resist it a little bit. And that can be a feature over the following 2 weeks. Now also, on the 5th, Mercury, the planet of communication, moves into the most visible part of your situation. Through to the 26th, you can use your appreciation of innovation to try different things out when it comes to your work or professional or worldly interactions. Mercury can see you building up your contacts in a very skillful way. And then on the 6th, Venus, the planet of love and affection, moves into a very passionate part of your situation. If there has been someone you've been talking to that you like and you want this to go forwards, you could achieve a much deeper sense of connection from here on in. In a more prosaic way, this can be a time when you can benefit financially from some kind of business situation or maybe a partner's good fortune. If there is anything to do with pensions, insurances or legacies, this can be a very opportune period for you too. Now, of course, you continue to have that big cluster of energy in your sign in the guise of Jupiter, about growth, Pluto, change, and Saturn, structure. And Saturn is in a right angle with Mars, the planet of drive, but also of impatience, which is located in your sector of emotions for the whole of this month. If there is something close to home that you're wanting to alter and somebody close to you is resisting that, and perhaps it's something quite physical in your presence, perhaps it's about creating more space or you want more freedom, if that resistance is there, it could prove to be quite frustrating. And from the 9th, Mars goes into a retrograde. It's already been slowing down in shadow, and right through to the 6th of January, it does continue in the very tender 4th house. This can see you thinking very much about your emotional responses around your home life and where you feel that greater sense of comfort and intimacy. But if you don't feel you have this, Mars can make you more yearning for it and almost demanding of it from others. So for example, if you coexist with someone who's a bit in their own world and not very tuned into your emotional state, that can be something that really does grind your gears. But Saturn squaring Mars can create frustration. Just be mindful of this. But on the 10th, we do have a quarter moon. This quarter moon is in the sign of Gemini, and its angle to the Sun in Virgo suggests that you may develop a real sense of enthusiasm from the 10th for 7 days and want to achieve quite a bit. But it's going to be important not to spread yourself too thinly, otherwise you may end up trying to spin too many plates. And if you're trying to do something more independently minded for yourself, and there's some kind of everyday chore or demand that holds you back, that could be something that does knock you off course. So do try to prioritize. But wonderfully, on the 13th, Jupiter, the planet of growth in your sign, is going to start to go forwards after a 4-month retrograde. And if things have felt very, very slow, almost like you've been walking through a field of glue, this change, plus Saturn coming to the end of its retrograde on the 29th, Saturn being your ruler, is really going to be very helpful for you. Now, from the 18th through to the 24th, Mercury, which remember is high in the sky, does clash with Pluto in your sign. If there is a situation where you really want to have the final say, and the circumstances allow that, so for example, if you run your own business or you're very successful in whatever commercial activities you're in, then quite rightly you're going to want to make sure that you have an authority in that area. But someone could challenge your ideas across those days. But fortunately, on the 17th, there's a glorious new moon. This is going to take you through to the middle of October, but it links brilliantly to your ruler Saturn. So despite the fact Saturn is causing some mischief in its right angle with Mars and being in retrograde until just before the end of the month, it does come up trumps in this angle with the Sun and the new moon. So how can this help you? Well, the Sun and the new moon are in your sector of expansion, and as I said before, giving you an opportunity to be more independent and potentially adventurous. Now, if you're able in your particular domain to get away from home and do something different, this would be a fine time to do so. But what Saturn does is it brings a very balancing, grounded influence to those more flyaway, impetuous influences that come from the new moon. So the balance between them suggests you can try something new, but be very solid in the process. If you're thinking about higher education or any kind of new knowledge, this is a terrific new moon for you. Now, the 22nd sees us reach the halfway point in the astrological year as we get to the autumn equinox, and the Sun moves also to the top of your horoscope, your solar midheaven. If you are wanting to raise your profile, achieve more recognition, gain more acclaim for your talents, this can be a fabulous time to pump up the volume and draw that goodness to you. It is true on the 24th, however, that a quarter moon in your sign does clash with the Sun. So balancing what you want as an individual and what other people expect of you in whatever arena you're trying to be successful may take some juggling. You're actually very good at understanding what the general rules of engagement are, but sometimes there will be a situation we encounter where people want something different. And I think this quarter moon is kind of saying to you, be yourself. Obviously, it's important to try to understand what's expected, but don't bend too much that you lose your identity and your own personal respect for what you're trying to do. Now, the 27th sees Mercury glide into the sign of Scorpio, which is obviously very penetrative and brilliant for understanding life's mysteries. But for you, this is a more friendly transit that begins. So for the following 21 days, again, if COVID restrictions in your local area allows, I think this could see you wanting to get together with your besties, have some fun, and just get out and about and mix and mingle if that is possible. The 29th, as I said before, sees Saturn end that long, tiresome retrograde, which probably has meant that your energy, depending on where your birthday is within the sign of Capricorn, and I think if you're born later in the month of Capricorn, so around about the sort of 19th, 18th, 17th of January, I think you may have felt really quite weary during the time of this transit, but now Saturn starts to go forwards, and all the clustering of energy in your sign, along with Jupiter going forwards, is really asking you to focus down on those individual talents and to keep making progress forwards in that methodical, painstaking way that you bring to situations. But what Uranus is giving you the opportunity to do is to show a flourish, be a bit innovative, try different things. You may have been very much a trendsetter in the past. If you've tended to be more of a follower of fashion rather than a setter of trends, this is definitely a time to be a bit more daring. If you've yet to ascend above your zodiac sign and embrace more serious astrology, please check out below for my affordable range of astrology reports. Also, you can look at my testimonials if you'd like to consider a one-to-one consultation with me. But for now, stay safe, take care, and good luck.